Then Savitri surged out of her body's wall and stood a little span outside herself. Little span. Now, little span, little space. See, when Savitri disclosed to her parents in the palace, in the presence of Narad, that she had found Satyavan as her future mate, then all were astonished and stood a little space apart. Narad and her parents stood a little space apart. Now, this space span, these are not the current English phrases in essence. They are basically the Victorian phrases. The Victorian English, Tennyson and those poets, they used some of these phrases very commonly there. So Shevendo uses everywhere whatever he likes in whatever context, but the kind of an effect which it brings is very powerful here. You see, and stood a little span outside the cell. He could have said in a different manner in the modern, but then you would not have carried that weight, that force, that poetry also, you see. And looked into her subtle being's depths. Savitri is now standing away from her surface consciousness because she is told, find thy heaven-born soul. Your soul is born in heaven. Savitri's birth is in heaven. But it has taken the material world. At the dim portal of the inner life that bars out. Before we proceed, let me read something interesting from the mother. I should have put down on this one, but let me read here. This is 17th August 1955, the mother says. 17th August 1955. How to discover your psychic being? She is describing. She stood a little span aside. Yeah. To sit in meditation before closed door. The door is closed. You sit in front of the door. Closed door. As though it were a heavy door of bronze. You can imagine a huge, big, massive door of bronze, and you are sitting there in front of the door which is closed. You have to go inside. You want to go inside. Bronze. And one sits in front of it with a will that it may open and to pass to the other side. You are sitting there with a determination, such strong determination that it must open by itself. That you can then go to the other side, enter into the room there inside is him. And one sits in front of it with a will that it may open and to pass to the other side. And so the whole concentration, the whole aspiration is gathered into a beam rod, or whatever you call it, you see. Structural beam, solid mass, is gathered into a beam and pushes against this door. You are having that beam in your hand and you are pushing that door now, that thing, to open out, you see. Heavy door of bronze, and one sits in front of it with a will that it may open and to pass to the other side. And so the whole concentration, the whole aspiration is gathered into a beam and pushes against this door. And pushes more and more with an increasing energy until all of a sudden it bursts open. With such concentration, with such force, you have to keep on pushing that door, that bronze heavy door is in. And one enters. It makes a very powerful impression. As though plunged into that light, and then one has the full enjoyment of a sudden and radical change of consciousness. Once you are open, sudden radical change of consciousness with an illumination that captures one entirely, and the feeling that one is becoming another person once you are there. And this is a very concrete, a very powerful way of entering into contact with one's psychic being. So the bronze door is there, heavy door is there. Your concentration should be like a beam, strong beam, powerful, and then keep on pushing, 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 pushing against the door, and suddenly the door opens, and then a new consciousness is born. You enter into new consciousness, and then suddenly you see your psychic being. This is what Savitri is doing here. This is what Savitri is doing here. And stood a little span outside herself and looked into her subtle being's depths. That is the concentration. And in its heart, as in a lotus bud, divined her secret and mysterious soul. Yes, my soul is like that. At the dim portal of the inner life, that door, Mother calls it bronze door here. Portal of the inner life that bars out from our depths the body's mind and all that lives but by the body's breath. She knocked and pressed against the ebony gate. Knocked and pressed that beam, push, 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 Mother says repeatedly. Ebony. Now here we got the ebony gate, very hard. Mother speaks of bronze door, which is also very strong door, huge door. See. Yeah. Black, black, yeah. Yeah, it's a black door. Ebony color is a black color. It's a black color. Yeah. Dark brown also. It's not exactly black, dark brown. Yeah, yeah. Like your tea coat, thick tea coat, heavy thick tea coat. Yeah. Yeah. She knocked and pressed against the ebony gate. This is exactly the description of Mother said, push, push, push.
Door of the ignorance.
Door, yeah. Yeah.
Symbol of ignorance.
The living portal groaned with sullen hand. So it is refusing to open, but she is pushing. And then the hinges are creaking, making sound noise, you see. You are disturbing us, you are troubling us, you see. The living portal groaned with sullen hand. Heavily reluctant, it complained inert against the tyranny of the spirit's touch. The tyranny of the spirit's touch. Concentration, force, beam, strong, you see, the tyranny of the spirit's touch. A formidable voice cried from within. The Mother does not describe that part in this particular thing. A formidable voice cried from within, back, creature of earth, lest tortured and torn, thou die. You don't know what kind of dangers are present inside this house. You want to enter into this house by breaking this door, but you are not aware of the dangers present here. You might die, you might get suffocated. Go back rather. Remain in the safety of your outer world.
Is it true? You can die? No.
Yes, he says that.
But is it true?
Huh?
Is it true you can die?
Yes. Yeah, they can kill you.
Oh.
suffocation, all that thing. These creatures inside, yeah. Back, creature of earth,
They are
you are not there.
guardians, no? They are
Yeah.
guardians.
Less tortured and torn, thou die.
But we are the guardians.
He is the guardian of that door. A formidable voice cried from within.
Monster.
Huh? Yeah, well, of that country. Must be, yeah. Yeah. In fact, he's going to describe that shortly.
It's a guardian.
Now, a dreadful murmur rose like a dim sea. A dreadful murmur rose like a dim sea. What a beautiful line also poetically. A dreadful murmur rose like a dim sea. See? See? Yeah. The serpent is the threshold hissing rose. So that's the on the threshold there is the serpent there. We have seen on the temples also like that, you see. Serpent of the threshold hissing rose, a fatal guardianhood with monstrous coils. The hounds of darkness growled with jaws agape, and trolls and gnomes and goblins scowled and stared. And wild beasts roaring thrilled the blood with fear, thrilled, stirred, agitated, thrilled here. Thrilled, not ecstasy, with fear, thrilled the blood with fear, and menace muttered in a dangerous tongue. So this is what happens. The moment you open the door, this is what happens to you. A dreadful murmur rose like a dim sea, the serpent at the threshold hissing rose, a fatal guardianhood with monstrous coil, the hounds of darkness. So there are the dogs of darkness of death, growled with jaws agape, and trolls and gnomes and goblins scowled and stared, and wild beasts roaring thrilled the blood with fear, and menace muttered in a dangerous tongue. So that's a really dangerous kind of a thing. You want to see your soul, first you have to meet these people.
Not very inviting.
You cannot help it.
This is the guardian of the door of the psychic.
They are of this of the vital world.
Vital.
Vital world.
Vital world, not the door of psychic.
No, it's not the door. In the inner country, to enter into the inner country, the guard is there by the serpent.
Oh yes.
Serpent of the threshold.
Guardians of the
Vital world.
Yeah, vital world.
They are guardians.
God. They are not God, they are creatures there. Before you enter into the inner part of the soul, you have to cross through this region.
Even not guardian.
The Aeon rings, you know, they have got Aeon ring. The Lord of the Ring.
Yes.
Yeah,
They don't want them to go there.
yeah.
But how can they stay there?
They are there. What can you do? Just behind that door. Actually, we are living in such tremendous safety because of our physical being.
The mental,
We are not aware of it.
because our mental,
Yeah.
because of the physical.
We are not aware of the tremendous safety which we got because of our physical being, you see. And the mother says also, when after death, when the physical protection is gone, all these creatures will crowd around you and pull you here and there and all kind of things, you see. And that protection is not there. See. Wild beasts roaring, thrill the blood with fear. Now, obviously,
They really kill you when you are
pardon me?
when you are already dead. They cannot kill you. No?
No, I mean they are there. It's because now you have no protection at all. So all of them will rush towards you, try to snatch this, that thing of yours, you see.
And they do.
Yeah, of course they do.
You are
That is
scared
why
now.
the passage. That is why the passage after death is not a very safe passage in the beginning. You see, only when you start discarding one by one your sheaths, then ultimately your psychic being is free of that and goes and rests in the psychic world.
It's for a few days or how long does this go?
For a few days it happens. That is why people observe a kind of a silence. They pray, all those things are for that purpose. They do help. Yeah. Yeah. People here on earth, the departed soul.
But just a few days, just after.
Yes. Yeah. Few days. but you
We have muscles ask you
You don't have to be scared of it, you see. It is not that for the first time you are going to experience it. We have been experiencing it for so many births earlier. We don't remember them. We don't remember them. We have undergone through all those things, birth after birth.
It's strange. I'm not fearing this, what you are saying. I feel that I can feel here the human more than them.
Yeah. But then, see, now this is something the mother does not describe while she is talking about the psychic being entry into psychic, the bronze door and all that. But this is there. Obviously, mother psychic being was always open right from her childhood. Still, when she was doing occultism with entering into this country, she must have definitely met all these people, seen them, encountered them, what they are there, you see. When she's doing, she is familiar with all these people, you see, what kind of creatures are there, you see.
You call them people?
Me?
Creatures.
I have forgotten. But see, before every birth, you have gone through the whole process. This is not the first time we are born. We have been, we have been coming again and again. So after every birth, we had to go through this whole process, you see.
But is it also when you come back from the psychic, you take the body, you also need
Then the psychic decides what form, what shape for the next process is required, and it picks up elements from the cosmic process, and then picks up its body here.
but you don't meet them on the way back.
No, certainly psychic is not interested in them. Psychic would like to avoid them. But the vital, the physical which you have gathered here in the present life, it is they who are, the food for these people, you see.
But Shravido said Amata said each disciple of Shravido has the Shravido symbol.
We are protected.
And
Yes.
then they don't come.
Through this, cross this.
Okay, I had to call you to shoot them
I
away.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
If it's not true, then I call
Because
you and then
when you call me, I can see Shrobindo symbol on your head. And I will tell you, Tine, you have it.
okay. Then you have to tell those
No, that goodwill, etc., from our side is helpful for the departed. Goodwill or prayer is helpful for the departed from that time, you see. See, you had to go to the subtle physical, you had to go to the vital world, you had to go to the mental world. One by one, you had to discard the different sheets which you have put on yourself. You have to discard sheets one by one, you see. And whatever has been psychicized in this life, it is that which is carried forward by the psychic being to the psychic world. And that becomes your asset, that becomes your punya, that becomes your merit, that becomes your treasure. And that you hold, that nobody can take away. Whatever is psychicized is your real treasure, you see. Unshaken. So, in spite of all these creatures, is trolls and gnomes and goblins and all that, you see, unshaken her will pressed on the rigid bars, the door, that bar is there. The gate swung wide with a protesting jar. They were told, she was told, back creature of earth, but Savitri is unshaken. Unshaken, her will pressed on the rigid path. The gate swung wide with a protesting jar. The opponent power withdrew their dreadful guard. Her being entered into the inner world. So, in a kind of a hurry, the poet is telling, look, etc. Finally, she has entered into the inner world. See? In a narrow passage, the subconscious gate. Now, this is the second stage now, subconscious gate. What I said earlier. First was knowledge surface, now the subconscious gate. Second phase of her inner journey. In a narrow passage, the subconscious gate, she breathed with difficulty and pain and strove to find the inner self concealed in sense. Into a dense or subtle matter, packed.
Concealed in sense, so only the sense.
Yeah, concealed in sense. Yeah. Inner self concealed in sense. Into a dense of subtle matter packed. Now, this is something grammatically very beautiful. You see, this is the art of the poet. Into a dense. Dense is used as a noun here. Dense of what? Of subtle matter. Savitri is now entering into the subtle physical. A cavity filled with a blind mass of power and opposition of misleading gleams, a heavy barrier of unseeing sight. She forced her way through body to the soul. The mother says, push, push, push the beam. she forced her way through body to the soul. Across a perilous border she passed, where life dips into the subconscious dust. Now this is subconscious now. Or struggles of matter into chaos of mind, a swarm with elemental entities and fluttering shapes of vague, half-bodied thought and crude beginnings of incontinent force.